Hey everyone, welcome back to Malaysia in Focus, the place where we dig deep into the stories that are really shaping Malaysia. Because sometimes a story from the past doesn't stay in the past. And right now, a ghost from Malaysia's history is back in the headlines. And we really need to figure out what that means for all of us today.
All right, so let's get right into it. Why are we even talking about the Nipah virus again? Well, it's because there's been a recent outbreak over in India, and that set off health alerts all across our region. And look, this isn't just some random virus we're talking about. This one has deep, deep roots right here in our own backyard. Okay, take a look at this map. It shows us something really important. See these areas? This is where the virus's natural host, this fruit bat, the Pyrrhopos bat, actually lives. And it also shows where human outbreaks have happened. You can spot the latest one right there in West Bengal, India. So what's our response? Well, Malaysia's Ministry of Health, the MOH, has already ramped up surveillance, especially at our international entry points like KLAA. They're screening travelers coming in from these high-risk countries. So you might be wondering, why all the serious precautions? Well, it all boils down to this one chilling statistic: between 40 and 75%. That is the estimated fatality rate for the Nipah virus. Let that sink in. It is incredibly deadly. And that's exactly why the World Health Organization calls it a priority pathogen. Basically, that's a term for a virus that could cause a massive public health emergency and needs urgent research, like yesterday. The one bit of good news? Thankfully, it doesn't spread very easily from person to person. But to really, truly get what Nipah is all about, we have to rewind the clock. We have to go back to its origin story, which, is a uniquely Malaysian story. This is where it all started for us. All right, so this timeline really lays out how everything went down. Picture this, it's 1998, and this mysterious illness starts hitting pig farms. People are getting sick, and tragically, many are dying. For a while, the official word was that it was Japanese encephalitis. But then, a Malaysian virologist, Dr. Chua Kawa Beng, he made this game-changing discovery. He realized, no, this isn't JE, this is something totally new, a new virus. And crucially, it was spreading from the pigs themselves, not from mosquitoes. So they named the virus after the place where the first human case was found, Sungai Nipah. And that discovery, it led to a really drastic but absolutely necessary decision to cull over 1 million pigs. I mean, can you imagine? It was a huge, tough call, but it worked. And because of that action, Malaysia has been free of Nipah since 1999. So yeah, Malaysia managed to stop that outbreak dead in its tracks. But that was then. To stay safe now, we've got to understand exactly how this virus makes the jump from animals to people. It's like the most critical piece of the puzzle. And this breaks down that chain of transmission perfectly. So it all starts with these fruit bats, right? They carry the virus naturally. Now, in our Malaysian outbreak back in the day, the bats infected pigs, and the pigs then passed it on to the farmers. Simple enough. But in places like Bangladesh and India, the story's a bit different. There, it's often the bats contaminating raw date palm sap. It's a local drink, and then people get sick from drinking it. And from that point, yeah, it can sometimes spread from one person to another if they're in very close contact. Okay, so what if someone does get infected? What should you actually be looking for? Well, the symptoms usually pop up anywhere from 5 to 14 days after they've been exposed. And at first, it can seem just like a bad flu, fever, headaches, muscle aches. But the scary part is, it can get serious fast. We're talking difficulty breathing, disorientation, confusion, all signs that it's progressing to what's called acute encephalitis. And that is a very, very dangerous swelling of the brain. Now look, I know when we hear virus outbreak, our minds immediately jump to COVID-19, right? A global pandemic. But the experts are pretty clear that Nipah is a totally different beast. The analogy they use is really powerful. They call it an explosive fire. Think about it. A fire like that burns incredibly hot and fast. That's the high fatality, right? But it usually stays contained. It doesn't spread like wildfire across the whole world. That's because Nipah just doesn't transmit easily between people. So is it a major local threat? Absolutely. But is it likely to cause another global pandemic? Probably not. Hey, if this breakdown is helping you make sense of all this and giving you a much clearer picture, do us a quick favor. Just take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to make sure you stay ahead on all of Malaysia's biggest stories. Okay, so when you're facing a threat this deadly, the next logical question is, what can we do about it? Can we actually defend ourselves? Well, that leads us to the global race to create a vaccine. Right now, as we're speaking, there are no licensed vaccines or specific treatments for Nipah. Zero. And this quote here from Professor Dame Sarah Gilbert, and you might remember her, she was one of the key people behind the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, it really just drives home how urgent this is. When people like her are focused on it, you know the world's top scientists are taking this threat very, very seriously.
But this is where we get some good news. This is where the hope is. There are some really promising vaccine candidates in the works. The one that's furthest along is from the University of Oxford. It's called the ChAdOx1 Nipah B vaccine. And get this, it uses the exact same tech as their COVID vaccine, and it's already in phase 2 trials. In fact, the Serum Institute of India is so confident they're already starting to manufacture doses to build up a stockpile, just in case of an emergency.
So, while all the brilliant scientists are in a race for a cure, what about the rest of us? Well, there are actually some really practical, simple steps we can all take to stay safe. So listen up, this is what you need to know. So, what can you do? Well, our own Ministry of Health has put out some really clear advice. It all starts with the basics, stuff we all know by now. Practice good hygiene, wash your hands often. A really crucial one is to avoid any contact with sick animals, especially pigs. Now, if you happen to be traveling to one of the affected areas, you've got to be smart about what you eat. Avoid things that could be contaminated by bats. We're talking raw date palm sap or even fruit that looks like it has bite marks on it. It's also a good idea to wear a mask in public over there. And then, when you get back home, keep an eye on your health for 14 days. If you feel any of those symptoms we talked about, see a doctor immediately.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking with us through the steep dive. If you're someone who wants clarity instead of confusion and you appreciate this kind of straightforward analysis, help us out. Just tap that like button and hit subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and we can keep making sense of all these complex issues together.
So, we're going to leave you with this final thought. Think about it. Malaysia successfully beat back Nipah in 1999. In many ways, that whole experience was one of the world's first major warnings about this new kind of viral threat. But the world today, it's a completely different place than it was back then. So the real question we all have to ask ourselves now is this. In our hyper-connected, fast-moving world, are we truly ready for the next one? Something to think about. We'll see you in the next explainer.